What's up, y'all? It's Andrew, aka Life of Raj, back with another video, and today we'll be doing something slightly different. So today we'll be going and hunting for wild Pokemon playing. So without further ado, let's go catch some Pokemon. And here we have two wild Pokemon planes that have appeared. So without any further ado, let's prepare for takeoff and get into this review. Or Pokemon plane battle. So to start off, we have our first wild Pokemon plane, aka we have a Boeing 737-800 T-Way. So here we'll look at the box. It's a 1:400 scale model. So here you can see T-Way, and then we have the CGI airplane put on the box, and we have our famous Pokemon here. So we have Pikachu. Looking at the back of the box, we have some more detail here. So we have another beautiful picture of cute little Pikachu posing for us. So it's Boeing 737-800. We got Pikachu, and again, once we have the T-Way CGI plane printed on the box, 1:400 scale model, and then the T-Way logo, as well as this registration code here. So HL8306. So, or you can pronounce it Hotel Lima 8306. Looking at the bottom of the box, we have our warning. So the warning here is in a foreign language, so it just says warning, but then we have it foreign language here, and then in English again we have contains small parts, not suitable for children under 14 years. We also have here made in China, and then we have the barcode and item number. And then moving to the other side of the box, here you can see we have the price tag here. So I did buy this from a table at Airliners International. So got this one for a little bit under $50. We have, again, Boeing 737-800, the CGI plane printed up on the side. And then moving to the other side of the box, it's pretty much the same thing, with the CGI print plane, Boeing 737, yada yada yada, and then the 1:400 scale, as well as same for the top of the box. So with that being said, I'll start on the unboxing of this model. And we have the model here. You can go ahead and set her down here, and then we'll get further into the review. So we'll start off on the left side of the aircraft. Beginning at the front of the aircraft, we got our normal cockpit windows and tools at the front. So cockpit windows, the pitot tubes, and then we have our L1 door. Behind the L1 door, we have our T-Way signature. And right before the L1 door at the bottom, you can see we have our nose gear. So part of the registration number is included in the little flap for the nose gear, but the camera doesn't want to focus since it's so small and such. But moving along the aircraft, we have our first Pokemon here. So we'll start off our Poke Party with well-known, world-famous Pikachu. Pikachu will shock your heart since it's an electric Pokemon. So Pikachu is riding with a bunch of balloons. So it's trying to identify as a flying Pokemon for the time being with the balloons behind it. Moving along to the next Pokemon behind Pikachu, we have Shaman. So Shaman it's in its sky form here. And behind Shaman we have Squirtle. So Squirtle is a water Pokemon. It's basically a turtle that can squirt water, thus the name Squirtle. And behind Squirtle we have Flareon. So Flareon is a cute fire Pokemon. You better be careful or it burn you up when you're not expecting it. And behind Flareon we have Meloetta. So Meloetta is in its voice form, and behind Meloetta we have Bulbasaur. So Bulbasaur is a grass Pokemon. Going back and actually reviewing other parts of the aircraft besides just looking at the Pokemon and the different Pokemon here. I'll go ahead and zoom out a little bit so you guys can see. We got the L1 door, and then after that we do have 2 exit doors over the wings. It's a little bit difficult to see from far, so once you zoom in you have a little bit better visuals of the markings for the doors over the wings. You can see the wing as well. There's detail of the lights, landing lights on the wings, and then we also have here on the engines you can see where it says www.twayair.com. So looking at the wings, there is very good detail here. I'll zoom out a little bit, you can see, but it's clearly marked where like the exits, the arrows on the wings to guide passengers in case of emergency, as well as the speed brakes and different parts and markings along the wing. So the wing also has its winglets here, as it's a 737-800, so this one has winglets but not scrimtars. And then also going back to talking about Pokemon, here we have where it shows Pokemon, so I would just like to make a confirmation reminder that it's pronounced Pokemon, not Pokemon. It kind of annoys me whenever people mispronounce it and pronounce it Pokemon. So moving back, focusing on the actual aircraft here, we have the last exit door on the left side of the aircraft. Here we have the South Korean flag and the reservation, so we have Hotel Lima 8306. And then behind that we have the horizontal stabilizers as well as the T-Way logo on the tail. Looking at the back of the aircraft here, so we have the APU, and then there's not too much detail on the horizontal stabilizers. You can kind of see it just looks like the horizontal stabilizer, but it's hard to see the additional detail, though there is light detail there. Moving to the right side, for once I can say that it's not exactly mirrored, or it's not mirrored at all. So I'll zoom out so you can get a whole view of the right side of the aircraft before I zoom in on each Pokemon. So we'll go ahead and start zooming in on each Pokemon. This camera won't be picky where it wants to zoom in. It's kind of being a B word today, but it will start at the rear of the aircraft on the right side. So starting at the back, we got Jigglypuff. Moving on, you got Meloetta in a different form here. And after that, we have Arcanine, which is a fire Pokemon. And then we have Charmander, which is also a fire Pokemon. And we have Pikachu again at the front, who will shock your heart. So going to actual details over the aircraft, it's very difficult to see the markings and such. So I'll try to bring it closer to the camera. You can't really see too much detail on the markings. I guess you can kind of see the cargo hatches, but it's very difficult to see all the other markings underneath all the Pokemon who are enjoying their party. So we can go ahead and look at the wing. So on the right side of the wing, it shows the registration actually marked on the wing, very clear detail and such, so that's a little bit different. The left side doesn't have any markings on the wing. We look also there on the inside of the winglet, there is detail where it says or mentions T-Way. So you can see that on both sides of the inside parts of the winglets. So it's interesting for the smaller, there's way detail in certain areas and then not as much details on other areas of the aircraft. So we'll go ahead and move it to where we can look at the front of the aircraft here. Attempt to zoom in. We can see here there's decent amount of details here, and then there's actual antennas that actually stick out. So we have at least, I think there's like at least 2 here where you can see they actually stick out from the aircraft, which is cool. We got our additional antennas markings here, and then the little light thing, which is like it kind of sticks out, but it's not like an antenna where it sticks out a ton. Moving along, we can go ahead and turn this model over to the underside. We can take a look at the underside. So there's a decent amount of detail here. There's not too much different painting, it's just the white underbody. We got more antennas that stick out, so you can kind of see the 2 behind the landing gears, the main landing gear. Also looking underneath the wings, you can see the registration there as well. So this time it's on the left side of the wing, but it looks like it's on the right side since we're looking at the underbody of the aircraft. Moving along, you can see the main landing gears and the holes where the landing gears go if you were to be in a gear up position. But for this model, the gears stay in the gears down position. You can't kind of switch it out. And then further along, you got our hole for a stand. And then moving up, we got additional details in the paintings, and then another antenna that actually sticks out. And then we have our nose gear where you can see, now the camera will focus whenever it's upside down, but you can see the registration number and the little flap for the nose gear. So with that being said, I'll begin to wrap up the review of this model here. So we can start with the left side. We can also take a look from the aft of the aircraft. And then from the right side of the aircraft. And then from the front of the aircraft. With that being said, we'll go ahead and move on to our next wild Pokemon plane. So moving on to the next plane here, we'll start with the box. So here we have a Boeing 747-400D by 400, Aviation 400. So here you can see 400 your Craftsman. It's a 1:400 scale. Here we got a picture of the aircraft. So this one was Air Nippon Airways or Airlines. So here you can see we got different types of Pokemon. We also have Pikachu. Pikachu is the main character. So he's the main man. Like I said, he's shock your heart, make you fall in love with him. He's famous worldwide. So with that being said, we'll go on and look at the other sides of the box. So here we got our back of the box. We got the picture again of the aircraft on the back, and then we have here the choking hazard warnings in several languages. So I'm not going to try to read them all in the different languages, but there's a whole bunch here. So basically not suitable for children under 14 years. Please retain data. Please note contains small parts, danger of being swallowed. And this model is made in China, and we have the item number here. So we can look at the side here. It's basically the same where it's ANA, Boeing 747-400D. Same with here at the bottom, but you got the picture as well. This side doesn't have a picture. And the top side of the box, this one does have a picture, so it's similar or almost the same, probably the same as the bottom of the box. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and unbox the model here. This plane is a lot bigger than the previous one, so the party must be bigger as well. So we'll start off on the left side of this aircraft here. So since this is a 747 400-D, that means that it's been slightly altered to fit the needs of ANA in their market. So back then, whenever this plane was being operated, they changed it from being an international type of plane where it would fly international flights to more of the domestic routes. So that's why it has D in the name. If you remember earlier when I was talking about it, it was called Boeing 747-400D. So the D stands for domestic. So starting at the front of the aircraft here, we have a whole bunch of new Pokemon. So a whole different level of Poke Party. So I don't remember exactly all the names for the Pokemon, so I'll try my best to mention who is who and which Pokemon is which. Also, it's been a while since I've played the Pokemon game, so I don't remember exactly. And also, I'll probably butcher the names because I played the games more than actually watching the cartoons, so my pronunciations will probably be off for a few. Zoom in a little bit so you guys can see the aircraft a little bit better. Starting at the front, we got our first Pokemon, so this is Celebi. Celebi is a mix of Physic and Grass, or Psychic and Grass Pokemon. Moving along to the next Pokemon, so we have a little group here. So the first one here with the red ears and red body parts is known as Plus. And then after that, the blue one, its partner, is known as Minun. And both of those are electric Pokemon. Moving further on the aircraft. So I'm not 100% sure the name of this next one here. So this red one here, I don't remember the name of it. But the one after that is Torchic. So the orange one is a fire Pokemon. And this Torchic was one of my favorite Pokemons whenever I played the games growing up. Torchic was so cute, and then it grew up to become Blaziken or Evolve several times, and its last evolution was Blaziken, where it was a really badass Pokemon. Moving along, I don't remember this Pokemon, but the one after that is known as Jirachi, and then after that we have some more Pokemon here. So the one in blue, that's a little bit difficult to see, but the one, this blue one here towards the bottom, that's known as Latios, and then next to Latios is Latias. So Latios is the blue, and then the red one is Latias. Moving to back, we have the tail. So we got Pokemon, where it mentions Pokemon, like I said earlier, Pokemon, not Pokemon or Pokemon. And then we have Pikachu on the tail as well. So going back and looking at some more of the detail, there were a few things I'd like to mention as well, since I just focused on the Pokemon. Starting at the front of the aircraft, you can see we have our cockpit windows. This is a 747, so it's more on the second deck where the cockpit windows are. There's good detail, as you can see. The windshield wipers for the cockpit windows, it's hard to see, but going along the windows here, above we have another Pokeball. We have one below the ones as well. You can see here we have the Star Alliance logo here. And then we have our L1 door. And we have our double deck, so 2 stories here. Since this is a 747, we have the upper deck windows and then the lower deck cabin windows. We have additional doors along. We have the ANA logo there and more Pokeballs for us to see. If we look down at the wings here, so we have detail of where the lights are, as well as the engines here. So on the engines they have more Pokeballs for us to see. Lots of Pokeballs everywhere. Looking along the wings, so there isn't a ton of visual detail. I mean, there's a decent amount. You can see the different parts, and it's a little bit difficult to see the air brakes. but there's indentations that you kind of can make out, and it's fairly decent. It's not bad, so it's not the most visually appealing or easy to see, but it's definitely there where you can see it from somewhat of a distance away. So looking at the wing, also you have the Japanese flag, so like the red circle from the Japanese flag is on the wing. I've covered most of the left side of the aircraft. I'll let you guys see a view from the back of the aircraft here. So there is good detail here, like with the markings with the horizontal stabilizers. Very good detail and like markings where you can actually see the different segments of the horizontal stabilizers. Moving to the right side of the aircraft, so this isn't super mirrored since we have different Pokemon here, so I'm going to go ahead and start at the back and work our way towards the front. Like I said, it's been a while since I played Pokemon, so I don't remember the names of all of them, and if I do, I might mispronounce them since I played the games but didn't really watch the shows as much. So starting at the back, we have Entei here. Moving along, we have Mewtwo. So Mewtwo is a well-known Pokemon from Generation 1. It's basically the legendary Pokemon in Generation 1. Moving along after that, we have Lugia, and then Meowth, and then here we have Mudkip, which is a water Pokemon. So Mudkip is also one of my favorite ones that I would always use and have by my side whenever I would play the Pokemon games. And then moving along, we got Trico. So Trico's a grass Pokemon. It kind of looks, it's kind of easy to tell it's a grass because it's green and it looks kind of like a lizard or like a gecko type of Pokemon. And then moving towards the front, here we have Pichus. So Pichus are electric Pokemon. They kind of look like similar to Pikachu and like similar family, but they're a lot tinier compared to Pikachu. And at the front we have Mew. So going back and forth, aside from the difference in Pokemons, most of the paint scheme is basically mirrored to the left side. So like with all the doors, which are kind of hard to see with the paint scheme, so it's hard to tell from the doors. You have to look a little bit closer. So on the wings are almost the same, similar. The difference on the wings here, though, is basically instead of having the red flag, we have the registration here. So the registration here is JA8957. And then moving across, we have the ANA logo in between the Pokemon. And then not too much detail aside from like the Star Alliance and some more Pokeballs and such that are all over the aircraft. We also have in the front the landing gear, so it's decent detail. The camera doesn't want to focus, but it's basically just a reg number that can be visible and somewhat easily read if you like zoom in or look at it closely. So we can look at the aircraft from the top. So let me readjust the camera so we can see. There is decent detail on this model. You can see like the black painting and stuff like that. You can't really see too much of the other painting, it's just the yellow paint, but there are plenty of antennas sticking out, which is nice. There's about 1, 2, 3 from the top where you can see it clearly sticking out. So we can go ahead and take a look at the bottom of the aircraft here. So I'll bring the model closer so we can look at the wings, since that's what's showing on the camera right now. So on the right wing below, We can see here we got the Japanese flag basically with a red circle, and then on the other wing we have the registration as well. Here you can see on like the bottom towards like the right side of the aircraft, bottom right side, we got our painting for hatches and such, so it's a little bit difficult to see. You kind of have to zoom in, and it's hard to see on top or like underneath where the Pokemon are. But if you look towards the bottom where there's not as much painting or no Pokemon visible, you can see the indications and markings for the different cargo doors and hatches. So moving along, we can see here we have a few more antennas where the antennas actually stick out, and it's not just paint. We also have our landing gears. So these ones, the ones on the actual fuselage, do kind of tilt, but the ones that are underneath the wings do not tilt. Here we have the hole for the stand, as well as paintings for where the gears allegedly fold in on the actual real aircraft, but on this model these do not fold in. We also have a red light here and additional detail. And then moving along towards the front, you can see it's kind of hidden underneath the paint of the Pokemon, but we have the cargo hatch opening, and then we have our nose gear up here, along with details of where the nose gear were to fold in on the actual aircraft. With that being said, I'll finish up this video by letting you guys have a view of the aircraft. So we'll start with the left side. And then we have the back of the aircraft. The right side of the aircraft. And then here we have the front of the aircraft. So to add along to our little poke party we got multiple poke parties going along. So I figured I'd show you off the poke parties I collected from Airliners International. So here, the ones I reviewed in this video, these two I got from Airliners International, and then these two were already part of my collection before Airliners International. So these are all the Pokemon parties or Pokemon planes I have so far. I do have one other one, but that'll be unboxed in a later video. The other one is one I bought after Airliners International, so once I go through most of my Airliners International content, then I'll start unboxing and uploading videos outside of Airliners International. So with that, I'd like to start to wrap up the video. So I'd like to thank you guys. Thank you for joining me and these Pokemon on our wild Pokemon party on our Pokemon planes. So it means so much to me when you guys watch and like these videos. I'm trying to be the best like no one else ever was. If you get the joke I made there, or the hint Pokemon theme song quotes I made there. But yes, to finally finish up and wrap the video off, thank you guys so much. Thank you for subscribing and watching all these videos. We're almost to 100 subscribers. It means so much to me, and I appreciate it. So with that, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks.